So the last type of major construction we're going to look at with this chapter is the altitude, and the altitude is connected with the orthocenter. We might not go all the way through to the orthocenter, but if you can do the altitude, then you can do the orthocenter. This is a little bit of a tricky construction sometimes, so make sure you go to the Open Math, the mathopenreference.com website, and you can find all of these constructions and a lot more on that site, and walk through it just like we are in this video. So to start with an altitude, whichever altitude you're trying to draw, in this case, we're going to extend one side of that triangle in both directions. So I'm going to extend segment PQ in both directions. That needs a straight edge. Now, we drew on here in this illustration with a solid line. I like to do that as a dashed line. That way, it's just representing that it's really just an extension of that segment, and you can tell the difference between the actual side of the triangle on your paper and the extension. But that's a key component here. Now, we are going to put the compass point at R and set the compass width, or the radius, beyond PQ. So open it up so that it is longer than that segment PQ. From here, I'm going to draw two arcs that connect or that intersect with the line PQ. So some of it might be on the triangle, but some of it might be in the extended area. That's why we needed to extend this side of the triangle. One's here, one is on the outside of the triangle. From here, I am going to draw arcs from A and B to create a point C. So I'm going to put the needle of the compass at A, and I'm basically, it matters that I have this open wide enough that that arc and this arc will intersect. If I don't go wide enough and I put an arc here and here, I'm not going to get an intersection. So you want to make it wide enough, and in reality, don't change the width. Use the exact same width. So don't go really far beyond this segment PQ and have a mark here and here and way off your screen, off your paper. You want to open up that compass the first time just so that it's a tad bit, but noticeably, beyond that segment. Okay, so you want to think maybe an inch at the most, anywhere from like a ½ inch to an inch. Okay. From here, I can connect point C and R, and that's my perpendicular. Okay. Now, that's with an acute triangle. Same kind of thing would work with an equilateral triangle. A right triangle, you would have from an acute angle, you wouldn't have an issue. Okay, but what happens when we're dealing with an obtuse triangle? And we have this obtuse angle. What if I want the altitude from R here? The good news is it's really the same construction. I'm going to extend PQ. Again, I personally would do that as a dashed line. Put the point of the compass at R and open it up beyond PQ. This is what I was talking about. You don't want this to be a significant distance. You want it to be far enough that you're going to have a good separation with your arcs, but not so far that you have one arc here and the other one intersecting way out here. That gets a little bit too much to handle. So a good ½ inch to an inch is a good estimate here. And now you can create your two arcs. Keep that same radius, and you can get two new arcs. If you have to shorten the radius a little, that's probably okay. But what you notice now is that altitude falls outside of the triangle, and that's okay. What we have here in this illustration, all three of these orange lines are the altitudes. You can see this is an acute triangle. If I make, in the orthocenter here, so these are all altitudes, I should say, and this is my orthocenter. In an acute triangle, it lies inside. If I make this a right triangle, it lies right at that right angle. But as soon as I make this an obtuse triangle, so here's kind of the one that we just looked at, where that altitude fell outside of our triangle. Look more along the lines of this. Okay. If that altitude falls outside and you get this really big, the orthocenter is way the hay up here, you can't even see it. Okay. The closer you get to 90, that orthocenter is outside of our triangle. And that is okay. obtuse triangles, your orthocenter will be outside of the triangle.